Yep. Good morning, everyone. So last session we discussed about how to work with style binding and class binding. We learned about Angular directives, and in this, so how data binding works, how attribute binding works, property binding, right? So in this interpolation, we discussed about how style binding and class binding. These are all various techniques. Yesterday, we learned about all these different types of techniques, how to handle them. So, after understanding data binding, attribute, property, what is data binding? Data binding is accessing data from the source and binding to UI, identifying changes in that and updating back. We have one-way binding and two-way. What is attribute binding? What is attribute binding? Several at dynamic values cannot be binded with attributes. They are binded with only properties. If you can bind with attribute, for that we have to use prefix attr, right? So what is interpolation? Interpolation is binding using a binding expression, right? Style binding, class binding, yesterday we learned. Style binding is inline styles. Class binding is applying the classes dynamic. These are all the basic things you need to know about component. Now, one more very major concept is, now today we will see how Angular event binding works. How Angular event binding works. Already we learned about events in a few occasions we use. Till now, what are the events we use? On change, we have used change event. We used a click event, right? So all the concept of list of events, we will see one overview I will give you. Actually, first you need to know what is an event. Technically speaking here, see, first I will explain the scenario, then you can understand. For example, suppose, so we have some object like, so generally we are having an object and some color effects we will apply here. So this is suppose one object. Actually, this object is having a width. It is having a width or say simply like border as black, and it is having fill as red. It is having some radius is some 100 like this. And this is how it looks like. Its border is black, its fill color is red, and it is radius 100 like that. Now, this is the physical description of an object. This physical description of an object, this is called as, we call them as properties. The physical description of an object is properties. That means what is its height, weight, width, all these comes under properties. For example, this object is a ball. If this object is a ball, how it looks like are properties. Now, what a ball can do, what activities it can do. What do you say? What activities this object can do? A ball can bounce. So a ball can like bounce. A ball can like roll. It can roll. These are the behaviors of that particular ball. Ball can bounce, ball can roll. Now, these are the activities which it can do. These activities, technically, we call these activities as methods. These are methods. And when it can do this, that means when it can perform this. When a ball will bounce. So when you throw to a wall or a floor, it will bounce. When you roll, it will roll. So these throw and roll, they will tell when it will do those activities. So these are called events. These are events. So how an object looks like, those are properties. What activities it can perform, those are methods. When it will perform, those are events. So event triggers and tells what are the activities need to be performed by an object. This is general. Let's take technical now. Suppose we are having a button. This is button. We are having a button, and this button is having some text on this button. So this button is having some text. I will keep that as some save like this. This is button, and it is having some save. Now actually this button is having width as 200 pixel, height as 150 pixel. It is having text as save. All this. That means how the button looks like. How the button looks like. So these all comes under what? Properties. Now how this button, what functionalities this button can do? A button can open, a button can save, a button can print, a button can close. All these and activities which can perform. So these are comes under which category? Methods. But currently, is this button using all those methods? No, it is using one method called save. So these are the properties, these are the methods. Now when it will save? When it will save? When you click. Is the click only the way you can use a button? Is the click only the way that a button works? Not only that, you can have mouse over. You can have double click. It's not like one click it will work. Sometimes you can design a button so that it will work only on double click. Sometimes a button will work when you move the mouse onto it. You don't need to click. That means when it can perform those activities, it can perform these activities on that particular event. Click, mouse over, double click, right click. All these comes under the category of what? Events. So every object comprises of properties, methods, and events. Now you need to learn how to give the behavior, how to give a functionality for every component. For that, we need to learn about working with events. So I will save this diagram for your later use, event 1. Actually, this first point you understood, what is event. Now the question is how you define event technically. So what you understood by using event, you understood that any object can trigger any functionality when an event occurs. So an object can trigger functionality when event occurs. It may be click, it may be double click, it may be mouse over. This all comes under category of events. But technically, how we define is, means technical definition is event is a message sent by sender to its subscriber in order to notify the change. This is a professional definition for event. This is the official definition for event. Event is a message sent by sender to its subscriber in order to notify change. So it's a message sent by sender to its subscriber in order to notify the change. What does that mean? I will tell you. Actually, I will show one simple concept. Let's open our project location here. So our Angular workspace here. Here I will add a simple page. Suppose there is a page. See here, actually, this is a HTML page. In this HTML page, I have a button. And the button I am having is insert. And here on insert click, some activity need to perform. Then in general HTML JavaScript, we write what? On click. On click, insert click. Like this we write. Generally, when you learnt about JavaScript, their JavaScript will teach you all events. What are different browser events? You will learn there. So when we know about events, generally, one basic idea you will get is like this. Actually, suppose we have a function. We have a function insert click. And here on button, on click, it is insert click. Generally, by seeing this logic, what many people think is there is a function called insert click, and we are calling that function on button click. On button click, we are calling that function insert click. Am I right? There is a function called insert click, and we are calling that function when insert button is clicked. Am I right? No, it's not right. We are not calling the function actually. We are not calling the function. Actually, we are pointing towards that function. We are not calling the function. We are pointing towards the function. You are not calling the function. We are pointing towards the function. Actually, it is a reverse way. It is a reverse way. So event is not function calling. Event is function pointer. Event is a function pointer. It is not calling the function. For example, see now here, is there any insert click function in this page? Is there any insert click function in this page? No. I will run this page now. Now think that you are calling a function which is not there. If you are calling a function which is not there, obviously it should show reference error. It should say that there is no insert click function. Am I right? Here we are calling a function insert click. By that name, there is no function. Then it should show error. Na? Let's inspect and let's go to console here. We will go to console, and in the console, see, there is no error. In the console, there is no error. If you are calling a function which is not at all there, then it should show some reference error. It should display that there is no insert click, but it is not showing that. That means we are not calling a function. See what will happen now. I will click insert. When I click insert, it will try to locate that function now. Means it will try to point towards that function. Is that function there? No. Now it will show error. It says that there is no insert click. So is it calling the function or is it pointing towards the function? Pointing towards the function. This is called function pointer. It's a mechanism of pointers. You might have learned pointers techniques in various languages like C++, C, everywhere. Pointers, actually, function pointer. So event is not calling the function. So event uses a delegate mechanism. Delegate mechanism means function pointer mechanism. Event uses a delegate mechanism. Delegate means function pointer. Event uses a function pointer mechanism. It is a delegate mechanism, a function pointer. So this is function pointer mechanism. Actually, it is not calling the function. It is pointing towards the function. Here, you see in this function, suppose there is insert click. It is insert click. And here on button, we have button on click. On click is equal to insert click. Actually, here this is called subscriber. That is called subscriber. And this is called sender. We have a sender and a subscriber. Subscriber contains the activities to perform, and sender informs when to perform. Understood? Subscriber contains the activities to perform. What activities need to be performed? It is defined by subscriber. When those activities need to be performed, that is defined by sender. So sender sends a notification to the subscriber. And what is that notification? That notification says that somebody clicked the button. And that notifies the subscriber that button is clicked. Now you need to do this work. So that is the reason event is a message sent by whom? Sender. To whom? Subscriber, in order to notify the change. What is the previous state? Previous state is normal. Now current state is click. The state of an object changed from normal to click. When any change occurred in that object, that change is notified to whom? Subscriber. That change is notified to subscriber, and subscriber will do the functionality. So sender is sending a message to the subscriber. So subscriber will do the functionality defined. It will perform this functionality. So you are not calling a function that is wrong. You are pointing towards that function. We are not calling the functions. We are pointing towards the function. So event is a function pointer. It uses a mechanism called what? Delegate. Delegate. So what is subscriber? Subscriber defines actions to perform. Subscriber defines actions to perform, and sender notifies the changes, and sender notifies the changes. So it specifies when the actions need to perform. When the actions need to perform, that is defined by sender. This is the technical definition of event. So event is a message sent by sender to its subscriber in order to notify the change. So that is official technical definition of event in any technology of software in world. You may be using in Java, .NET, PHP, Python, so JavaScript, anywhere. Event means this is the definition. Event is not a function calling, it is a function pointer. Even more high level, you should know that event uses a software design pattern called observer, which is a communication pattern, under behavioral patterns. I told you before we discussed about MVC. I told you na, design patterns and architectural patterns. MVC and MVVM are architectural patterns. Design patterns are like singleton, abstract factory method. So iterator. This observer is a design pattern. This comes under which category? Behavioral. How many types of patterns are there in software development? 3 types: creational, structural, and behavioral. This comes under behavioral pattern. This is related to communication. So we have to understand technical things about this. Okay. Now, actually, in interviews, the questions I already told you 2 types. For a fresher, they will ask what is event. That means always you should remember, for freshers, they will ask what is the concept. And for experienced people, they will ask what is the architecture behind the concept. Right? Many times people ask, how do I prepare for interview? 2 things are there. You are preparing for a fresher interview, then just know about the concept. What is event? What is data binding? What is event binding? What is class binding? That's it. If you are preparing for an experience interview, you know the architecture behind every concept. What is event? That is fresher. How event works? That is experience. What patterns it uses, which architecture it follows, how it works, all this experience level. So if you are attending Angular interview as a fresher, they will ask just what is event binding. If you are attending as experience, they will ask what is the design pattern that event follows. What is the design pattern it follows? Observer. It comes under which category? Behavioral patterns. It is a communication pattern. It uses what mechanism? Delegate. Delegate means what? function pointer. These are all experience level points. So technically, you should know basic definition first. Now, this is event. What is event and what is the concept of event? Now, Angular uses all JavaScript browser events. It uses all JavaScript browser events. So only the point is all JavaScript browser events, it will use all events in the similar concept, but one change is there. Actually, Angular events are configured by event emitter class. They are configured by event emitter class of Angular core library. So all Angular events are derived from a class called event emitter. Event emitter is the base class of all Angular events. That is the base class for events. Every event that you are going to use in Angular is derived from this event emitter. Actually, what happens is Angular uses an event emitter which maps to JavaScript browser event. So Angular is not using directly browser events. Angular is using the event emitter events which are mapping to browser events. That is the reason here Angular event will be like, for example, it will be like click, and JavaScript browser will be like on click. Here event will be change, and here it will be on change. That is only the difference. So if anybody asks, is Angular using all JavaScript events? No. It is not using all JavaScript events directly. It is using another derived class. The derived class is called event emitter. This event emitter will provide the events for Angular by using click, change, like that, which will map to browser events on click and on. Only two I given. There are so many events we will see now. So if anyone asks, is Angular directly using events of JavaScript? It is not directly using events of JavaScript. It is using the events which are defined by a class called event emitter. These event emitter events are mapping to browser events. These are mapping to browser events. If anybody asks like why Angular cannot use directly JavaScript events, why it should use a derived one, why it cannot use events, if anyone asks like why Angular cannot use JavaScript events directly. The answer is simple actually. Why it cannot use events directly? Because Angular is decoupled from DOM. It is not coupled with DOM. Any technology coupled with DOM will use direct events. If it is decoupled from DOM, that means it cannot use any DOM methods directly. That is the reason you haven't seen any get element by ID, get query selectors, all these things we never used in Angular. But you are doing similar type of work by using ng model, by using ng class, by using ng style. You are doing similar type of work. So why Angular cannot use JavaScript events directly? Because so Angular is completely decoupled from DOM. When it is decoupled from DOM, it cannot use any DOM. but it uses a pseudo DOM which maps to that DOM. For that, it have its own library. It have its own library. And what is the base library for events in Angular? Event emitter. Event emitter. So here, Angular events are categorized into various groups. Angular events are categorized into various groups. There are so many events which are same as JavaScript events categories. So we have like mouse events. In the mouse events, you will have like mouse over, mouse out, mouse down, mouse up, like mouse move. All these comes under mouse events. We have keyboard events. Keyboard events like we have key up, we have like key down, we have like key press. This comes under keyboard events. We have another like button events. Button events, we have like click, we have like DBL click. DBL click is double click. We have context menu. Context menu is right click. Single click, double click, right click. These comes under button events. We have element state events. Element state events like on blur, so which is written as blur. We have focus. We have change, we have select start. All these comes under element state events. Element is focus, element loses the focus, that is blur. Element changes, so element selection starts. All this comes under element state events. We have clipboard events. Clipboard events like we have cut, we have like copy, we have like paste. These comes under clipboard because cut, copy, paste are related to clipboard. Clipboard is nothing but temporary memory of Windows. If you cut or copy any content, then that information is kept in which location? Clipboard. We call it as clipboard. We have clipboard events. We have the events for touch events. Touch events are very recently used for mobile development. We have like touch start, we have like touch end, we have like touch move. All these comes under touch events. These are related to touch sensitiveness, which you can try only on touch devices. So specially developing applications for mobiles and all requires this touch. Another important we have, another is form events. We have form events like submit. Now in Angular, they given a latest one, ng submit. We have reset. This comes under form events. We have submit, ng submit, reset. These are related to forms. These are form events. We have timer events. Timer events, we are having like set time out. We have like clear time out. We have set interval. We have clear interval. These all comes under timer events. These are all major categories of events. These are all the major categories of events. Actually, when you learn JavaScript, you will learn all these. Here, I am not going to repeat all these, not required, because that is for JavaScript people, they have to know. If you know JavaScript, already you learned all these. In JavaScript, all these events will be there. We have to implement them in the same way. I will just show you few examples related to different categories. Others you have to try based on your JavaScript knowledge, right? Let's see one simple concept. How do we work with these events? Now, these are all different types of events, various categories of events available. And one more concept we learned actually, how these events are binded. Remember, the Angular events are binded to any HTML element by using a parenthesis. Am I right? Yeah. So that means syntactically how we write. We have a select, so we should change. And here we need to define a method. So we need a button, we need a click. And a click requires a method. Here we need to configure. That is event binding here. In this event binding, this is very, very important. Actually, suppose I am writing a button, click is equal to some insert click. We are writing like this. You should know in this there are two parts. Actually, what is click? Click refers to what? Click refers to event. And click is pointing towards which method? Insert click. This is called what? This is called as event handler. We have event and event handler. Event indicates what is the event. Is it click? Is it mouse over? Is it double click? Event handler indicates what is the event and which functionality it will do. That is called as event handler. So we have event and event handler. Now, when you learn about event handlers, very important is actually every event handler can have one default argument. That default argument is $event. That is the default argument. Every event handler can have one default argument, $event. In Angular, it can have one default argument that is event, $event. Actually, if you learn JavaScript, in JavaScript, there are two default arguments. In event, JavaScript have two default arguments. What are those? JavaScript event arguments we have like this. On click is equal to, we have insert click. You will have event and you will have this. These are the two event arguments in JavaScript. But here in Angular, these two are not allowed. Only one default argument will be there. What is that? $event. Now in JavaScript, two arguments will be there. One is event, another one this. What is purpose? What is the purpose is nothing but this sends information. This sends information about current object. Current object. This sends information about current object. Current object information means if it is button, button information. If it is drop down information. If it is checkbox information. So this sends information about current object. Information about current object means its ID, its value, its name, its class name, etc. All these details it can send by using which argument? This. There is another argument, event. Actually, event sends information. It sends information about current event. Current event means click event. Event related information means it is like client X, it is like client Y, it is like key code, it is like char code, it is like which, all this. These are event related details. Object related details, we have ID, value, name, class name. And event related details like client X, client Y, key code, character code, which key, all these. For example, remember this is in JavaScript. In JavaScript, these are event arguments. We have two default arguments in JavaScript. One is event, another one this. So here I will show you first what they does. You learned already in JavaScript. Here I will show you. This button is having ID as btn insert. This button is having a name called insert button. This button is having some class btn primary, like that. Primary like this. These are all button related details. Now I am writing a script. I am writing a function. What is it? Insert click. Now what happens? Now this event is pointing towards that insert click. While pointing towards that insert click, it can send two parameters. It can send two arguments. One is this. It can send two arguments. One is this, another one is event. Remember, these are reserved keywords. You have to use the same keywords. Order anything is okay. The keywords are important. You can pass one argument, you can pass both arguments, or you can leave without any arguments. Now, what is the first argument? This. This will send information about what? Object. Second argument, event. This will send information about event. I will show you here. Two parameters we need. First parameter is sending object related information. I will put obj. Second one is sending event related information. I will put E. Just reference E. That means now object related all details we can access by using obj. Object related details means button ID, button name, button width, button height, everything. You see now I am writing document.write. I will say button ID. How to get button ID? Obj. Obj is referring to button. Obj.id. In the next line, so here I am printing other details also. This is button ID, it is printing. I want button name. And here we are using obj.what name. In the next line, br. Okay, in the next line, I want here button class. I want to access, then obj.class name. Class name will return the button classes. What class it is using. Now I'm using, so X position. That means user clicked, but where he clicked, that also we can identify. User clicked on button. On button where clicked? He clicked right corner, left corner, up, top, bottom. You can find its location also. For example, I will show you here. Suppose there is here some http://www dot some amazon.in. I written like this. Now actually this is a website address I written. Now when I move the mouse onto it, it will show me one message that use control plus click to follow this link. That means with the control key, if you click, it will open. I thought that click means click only. But click means not just click. Where you clicked, how you clicked, with which combination you clicked, all this matters. That means you may be thinking like click means click. No, it's whether you used a control key with click, you used an alt key with click, you used a space bar with click, you just used a click, everything matters. Because on your keyboard, how many keys you will have? 112 keys. A standard keyboard minimum have 112. 112 keys will be there. How many functionalities you will handle with just 112 keys? Java, .NET, PHP, Python, more than 5-6 million softwares functionality you will handle just with one keyboard. That means you need a lot of combinations, right? You have to click, you have to enter, you have to do with a lot of combinations. That combination, how you clicked, where you clicked, that also matters. That is important to verify, which you can do by using which object. We can do that by using which object? E. I will show you here. E, I am using E dot client X, means it will get X position. Suppose I want to know whether they clicked with control key or not. I will do that. Control key. And here I will put a message. Here I will say E dot CTRL key. CTRL key. It will verify whether they used a control key or not. Now see what happens when I run this page. You can see I am clicking this button. It is firing an event, not just firing an event. Into that event, it is sending two details. One detail about button, another detail about event. And when I click that, you can see it is sending all the details. Button ID is this, button name is this, button class is this, button position X is this. I haven't used a control key. That means you clicked button without control key. So I will use one more here. I will press control key and click that insert. Then it will show this. You used a control key. Now, developers usually write logic. If control is true, then open in a separate window. If not true, then just display there. We can handle a lot of such functionalities. That means in JavaScript, you will learn that event have two default arguments. What are those default arguments? One is this, another one is event. But in Angular, we don't have this. Why we don't have two arguments? This because already Angular is component based, in that this belongs to class. Am I right? This keyword already belongs to class. So I cannot use this here. In Angular, there is no chance of this. In JavaScript, two arguments you can use, and those two arguments are this and event. These two you can use. But in Angular, it's not possible. In Angular, you have to handle that. Angular allows only one default argument. And what is the default argument? Dollar event. But remember, this dollar event, which can send information about both object and event. It can send information about both object and event. Angular events will not have this and event. Instead of that, they will have which one? Dollar event. And this dollar event can send both details, object details, event details. How you can access event details? That means we can use the event reference. That means here we write like this. We have public insert click. It is expecting E. And here we are defining button. So we are configuring button. Button have a click. In that it is pointing towards insert click. And what is the default argument you can pass? Dollar event. That is the default argument you can pass. This dollar event sends information about the button and information about the event. That means now E is having what details? Event is having both object and event details. How to access object details? So you can access object related information by using e.target. You can access object related information by using e.target. That means how you can access e.target.id, e.target.name. We have e.target.class name. Like this we can do. Earlier we have to do this by using this. We have to do that by using this. But now we have to do that by using e.target. Object related details we can access by using e.target. And you can access event related information by using directly E. That means you can say e dot what client X, e dot what client Y, e dot what ctrl key, e dot what key code. Like this we can do. Previously in JavaScript it is managed by two objects. Now in Angular it is managed by only one object. And here you don't have this and event. Instead of that you have to use what? Dollar event. So this is important now. Let's see here in Angular how it manages. We will see how it manages in Angular. Let's go to our project. In this project, I will add a component. Open in terminal, ng generate component, event binding, and skip test. So we are creating a component called event binding. Let's run this project also. It's taking a while. Meanwhile, we will run this also. Yeah. Now a component is created, event binding. Let's go and keep this in the startup. In app module, I will give event binding component in the startup. In index HTML, let's keep event binding in the startup. Okay. Let's go to event binding component and TS file. Here we will write a method public. This is insert click. Insert click is a void type and it is expecting one argument E. E is what type? Any. Because it is an object which may contain object related details or event. Now here I am going to HTML page and let's create a div and class container fluid and button heading as event binding. And we will add a button here. So this is primary. This is just, I said, insert. Let's add ID as BTN insert and name as insert button. And let's put the class as BTN and BTN primary. Like this we define. Okay, now this is the button. Is compiled successful. It is compiling. Yeah. Now once we click the button, the method should fire up. Insert click should fire up. So what we have to do, we have to write an event. How do we write the event? We have to define what? Click. And see here, it should go to what? Insert click. We have to pass a parameter. What is that argument? $event. That is the parameter you need to pass. This is going to send both details. One event related details, another object. We will print them. Document.write. I am printing those details. Suppose I want to print button ID. How do we print? So in order to print the button ID, here we have to use target.id. That's how we do. Suppose we want button name, then we have to use target.name. That's how we define. Now similarly, we want some button class. So we use target.class name. And we want event properties like X position. Then we need to access directly client X. We want, so another one, that is control key. And here we will use ctrl key. These are all the details. Previously, this work in JavaScript is managed by two objects. But now in Angular, it is managed by one. That one object has two techniques. With the target reference, it can access all the object details. Without target reference, it can access all event details. Right? Now let's see. Is it ready? Yes. Let's open that here. So localhost, this is the button, and I clicked on insert button. It will get the same detail. Button ID, button name, button class, button position, control key, false. Now I clicked this button with control key, then it will show control is true. That means the same work we are doing, but this time we are using what? We are using only one event argument, that is $event. So JavaScript allows default event arguments to Angular allows default event argument 1. This is $event. Example I will give here. Event binding dot component dot ts. I will just keep this ts file and yeah, and html. Event binding dot component dot html. Here we have that html. HTML just have the button and its details. Here into event argument, we are passing the default event argument. Now, another important point is Angular and JavaScript allows custom event arguments. It allows custom event arguments also. We can send our own arguments. Instead of $event, we can send our own arguments. Actually, you can define custom arguments individually or along with the default arguments. Anything you can do. You can send your own arguments also. That means you can write button click is equal to insert click. Into that insert click, I can just pass a string. So welcome, or say record inserted. That is how I am sending. This is nothing but what you are doing. You are sending your own message, your own argument. This is what type of argument? This is what type of argument? String. You can send multiple arguments. You can send single argument. You can send any type of argument. That means you can send any type of argument. Button, we have a click and is equal to what? Insert click. I can even send an array like TV, like some mobile, like this. I can send even an array as an object. I can send anything. Button, so click, I can use insert click. I can send even an object. ID is 1. So some name is equal to some TV, like this. You can send anything as an event argument. You can send anything as event argument. You can send multiple event arguments. That means you can say on click here. On click, you can send insert click. On insert click, you can send 1, you can send TV, you can send true, like this. You can send multiple arguments. You can send these arguments along with the default arguments also. That means you have button click. You can send like insert click, and we have $event. $event is what? Default argument. After that, you can send your own argument. Suppose record inserted. Like this, you can define. That means you are passing here. You are passing here default argument as well as custom. It can be 1, it can be multiple, it can be any type. So it's not like you need to use only default arguments. We can pass any custom argument. Already I showed you. If you remembered in our previous shopping example, when user clicks delete button, what we done? When user click delete button, we sent index number as argument. That is our own argument. That is our custom argument. We are sending our own arguments. So You can send default arguments or you can send custom arguments. You can send both default and custom. Based on what type of arguments you are passing, you have to collect them and use. You have to collect and use those arguments. We have to declare those relative types. We need to define those relative types. So you can send your own arguments. For example, see here, along with the $event, I am writing one more. One more is I am writing like record inserted. Am I right? Now this event have to accept another one. What is that? MSG is what type? String type. That message I will print at the end. That means here I will put in a heading style. I will put here MSG. We are printing that here. And now when user clicks on this button, it will get that. You can send your own arguments. Along with the default arguments, you can send custom arguments. Any type of argument. But if it is a array type, you know how to deal with it. You have to write access like a collection. If it is an object type, you know how to deal with an object. So an event can have default arguments and custom arguments. This is how we pass the arguments. Why we need default arguments? Already I told you, to know about object details and event details. Why you need custom arguments? Because sometimes we need to pass our own data into it. Then we need our custom arguments. We can pass both of them. Remember, arguments while passing, there is no order. Right? You can pass first your own argument. After the default argument, there is no order for this argument. But how you declare in the same way you have to access. If first argument is default, collecting also should be same. You have to use the same technique there. This is basic about how the event arguments are defined. Is it clear? Right. So how to pass the event arguments, how to collect the event arguments, and how to use. Right. Once we know this, now we can learn how to design these events and work with these events. I will show you one simple example here now. First, one category example I will show. We will design some application. So first we will see mouse events. Mouse events. In mouse events, what are the options we have? Mouse over, we have like mouse out, we have like mouse down, we have like mouse up, we have like mouse move, we have like mouse. Now these are mouse related events. Now I will do one thing here. Let's see one simple example. How do we handle? Suppose I am creating here in this, clean up this event binding. Yeah. And how the mouse event works. Let's try one example. Suppose what we are doing is I'm searching for, let's Google here. In the Google images, I will search for shoe clip arts. These are shoe clip arts actually. So these are shoe clip arts we are having. Clip art is nothing but it allows you to change the colors and effects if you want. That is, so I will take one clip art like this. This looks empty and fine. These are clip arts. Yeah. I will select this shoe clip art here. Okay. And let's save this shoe clip art. Save image as in our project folder. It is in Angular workspace. Which drive it is? E drive. Angular workspace projects shopping SRC assets. In that we will keep this as shoe. It's a JPG file. Okay, but we need some changes. Let's open this in MS Paint. I will open that in MS Paint, which is in eDrive, Workspace, Projects, Shopping, SRC, Assets, Shoe. This is the image. Now in this image, this is actual image. I will select save as file, save as JPG. I will give as some black shoe. That is a JPG file, black shoe. And in this, I will fill up some black color here. So I think this is, because it is a clip art, it is not having solid style. I will keep this freeform selection. Because I need to clean up that. Otherwise, its color is showing some shaded. Let me first delete up to this part so that it will be clean. And I can fill up the black color. Okay. Actually, this is which color we are having? Black. If it is a good image that you already taken, then it will have a solid black color like this. We will fill. That is the black shade we are adding here. Because that clip art is not great. You can draw any clip art of your style and use it actually. I'm just using like this. Okay, fine. Now some more here we will apply the color. So here also it is not great. I will just use the brush shape and let's add that here. Suppose this is black color. So that is black shade I am defining. You can use other combination. I will save this as black shoe. Now let's go to file and save as. Save as, save again. This time we have some green shoe. Okay, black shoe, green shoe, like this, different colors, images you have to shave. So let's put the color there. It is fine. Okay. I will save this and save as again JPG, and we have some blue shoe. Black, green, and blue shoe, and we are applying some blue color here. Okay, that is fine. Now I will save this. Now I need to put that image here. So let's keep a heading. So some shoe. And we have an image here. Image source is initially, actually image source will come from another location. I will keep that. I will keep width is 100, width is equal to 200, and height is also 200. So height is 200. Okay. And here I will define public img underscore src. It is what type? String. And it is in which location? Assets. Assets we have shoe dot jpg. That is option we are having, and we will bind that to src. SRC is coming from IMG SRC. That is the image we are displaying there, shoe. I will keep height as 100 pixel, that's fine. Okay. Now what we will do is, below this, we will keep a div. So this have a class. This have the class margin top 2. And here I will just simply put a div and class as btn group. In this we have button. This button will have a simple text as suppose red. and we will put a style. So color as red. I'm just using background color as red. Background color as red. It is red. Okay. Now what should happen here is similarly class text white. I'm just adding the button there. Okay. Now similarly other buttons red, green and blue. So this is green and the text is green, and here we have blue and the text is blue. Okay. Now what we want here is when user moves the mouse onto that color, not click. When a user moves mouse onto the color, that color image should come. That means this color should change. This color should change. Then what we will do is for every button, we will put a button have a name. This button name is red. This button name is green. This button name is blue. Now, when we need to write a method called public set color. Set color is the one. This set color method is expecting color name, which is a string. And what we need to do is we need to write a switch. Into that, we will pass the color name and we will write a case. If the case is red, then this dot img src is equal to assets slash red shoe dot jpg and a break. That is the image source we are changing. If it is green, then it will be green shoe. And if it is blue, then image source will be set to blue. If it is blue, then it will be blue shoe. Like this we are changing. Now this set color should work when user moves the mouse onto it. That means we have to use mouse over. On mouse over set color. Into that color, we need to send the current object. The current object related name. Am I right? How we can send that color name? There are two techniques. You use default argument. Default argument is what? $event. Through that you can send this, na? Or you can directly send your own parameter red. Understood? Custom parameter. You can send the custom parameter. Here we can send it as what? Green. And here we will send, all are using same event, and this is blue. That means when mouse is over, that color will come. I think some name. That is black shoe. Yeah. Black shoe. In case of red, yeah. Okay, then we will put a black. This is a black shoe. And we will change the color background to what? Black. Okay, and here we will use black. Okay, now this is black. Okay, now you can see this is black. This is change the here we have to send black also, huh? Right. Now you can see it have to get that and display. I'm just using a clip art. Actually, same image, different colors are there. We can work. Already I showed you this example. Na? This example not related to color. I showed you related to changing of products. Am I right? Product photos we changed. Same technique we have used. I showed you with the help of ng switch. Na? NG switch, we created Flipkart mobile details. There on mouse over, automatically it is changing. That is a general technique how we can handle. So this is mouse over. That means we are not waiting until they click. So we are just using this. Now, if you want any functionality on mouse over, mouse out, then you can define by using this. Mouse over means when mouse pointer is over. Mouse out means when it comes out. Mouse down means when you hold down the button. Up means when you release the button. Move means when you are continuously moving the mouse. For example, see, if you are continuously moving the mouse, that means see here what we are doing. For this container, I will open another image. So here I will open the project SRC assets. Into that assets, I will keep another image. So in images, I have some flag. So I will copy that. This is an image. Actually, flag is a GIF file. Huh? Now see what I am doing here is in this container, I am adding a div. So I will keep style height as some 1000 pixel. Under that, we will have an image. This image source is assets. In assets, yeah. In assets, we have flag.gif. Its width is 50 and the height also 50. Now you can see actually in our page. So scroll down at the bottom, there is an image. At the bottom, there is a small flag image at the bottom. I need to scroll down at the bottom, this image will come. At the bottom of the page, it is present there. Now see what I am doing here. We are writing a style object. Yesterday we learned style binding. I will create a style object. Style object. This style object contains style properties like it will contain position. Position is I given string type. It contains left. It is also string type. It contains top. This is also string type. Initially, I will keep empty. So here position. Position is I defined as fixed. And of position is empty currently. And left is also empty. Okay. And the top is also empty. This is style object with all these details. We have a style object with all these details. Now we are writing a method. Here we are writing a method. So public. So this is mouse move method. Mouse move method is having an event argument. What type event argument? Any. This mouse move should fire up. So, and I will apply here on the mouse move here. Means mouse move. That means when mouse is moving over the main div, right? We will use mouse move method. Into that we will pass dollar event. Dollar event can send event related details. Now that style object we will apply here by using ng what style. We will apply which one? Style object. To this image we are applying the style object. So what I am doing now, when mouse is moving, this dot style object, its position must be fixed. Okay. Fixed is the position. After that, left position must be e dot client x plus pixels. That means the mouse x position should be applied to image. And another is here, top position is E dot client Y plus pixels. Mouse top position must be applied to Y axis and mouse left position must be X axis. That means when mouse is moving, we will get the position of mouse and we will apply that position to image. That means image position is set to mouse position now. You see now what will happen in our page. When I move the mouse, it will move along with it. That means the image is moving along with the mouse pointer. Actually, where is the image position? Image position somewhere bottom. What we done? Position fixed. Position fixed means in CSS, it removes the image from its location. After that, left position where the mouse x-axis position. It will get the current mouse x-axis position and it will keep left. Mouse y-axis position and it will keep y. That means what it is doing, the position of y-axis, the position of x-axis of mouse pointer, it is getting the position of mouse pointer and applying that position to this image. That means it is picking the mouse position and applying to image, and that position is updated continuously when you are moving because you written on move. That means when mouse pointer is moving, automatically this also moves. That also moves. That is generally done by using a simple mouse event. That means when anybody is moving the mouse, we will get the position and we will apply that position to this image. It will be changing accordingly. These are mouse over. These are mouse over. And this is just mouse move. How we can handle. These are all related to what kind of events? Mouse event. Similarly, we have other events, keyboard and other events that we'll see tomorrow. Some examples on those events we will see in tomorrow's session. Okay, right.